The grease-stained stones of the fire pit are cold. Not long ago, they sizzled with the fat of the mega LOC Eros Gigantus. The giant Irish elk whose herds thundered across the tundra like a moving forest. The clan had grown masterful. Their coordinated hunts, a symphony of shouted commands on perfectly thrown spears, had brought down beast after beast. For a season, they feasted. Bones were racked for their marrow, hides were scraped for new tints, and the children grew plump. It was a time of victory, a testament to the skill of these Homo sapiens, the apex predators of this icy world. Their success felt like a permanent law of nature, a new chapter in their long hominid history. But the echoes of that feast are a cruel mockery now. The tundra is silent.
Preparing to fight back.
The great herds are gone. Ronan, the clan leader whose face is a hardened mask of wind-burned and worry, stands on a high ridge, his eyes scanning the vast, empty steppe. He sees nothing but swaying grass and the distant, indifferent shimmer of the ice sheets. They did not just hunt the herds, they broke them. In their success, they had outstripped the land's carrying capacity, stripping it bare of the one creature that sustained them. This is the brutal reality of their own cleverness. The feast has led directly to the famine. Back in the camp, the air is thick with a tension that is sharper than the cold. A child's whimper is the only sound, a thin, constant needle of hunger. An old woman, once the repository of the clan stories, now lies still under a pile of furs, her energy conserved for the simple act of breathing. The hunters, their bodies lean and hard from a lifetime of pursuit, sit staring at their useless spears. Kale, a young hunter whose pride was forged in the great slaughters, can't stem the quiet. He rises, his knuckles white around his spear shaft. "Re-hunt," he says, not to Ronin, but to the clan. It is a statement of primal instinct. The problem is hunger. The solution is the hunt. It is the simple, brutal logic that has guided their human ancestors for 1,000,000 years ago. But Ronan knows this logic is now a lie. He has walked the hunting grounds for days. There are no fresh drugs, no dung, no sign of life. They have created a void. The hard choice is not whether to hunt, but how to survive the consequences of their own might. He sends out two scouts, his best trackers, with a simple, desperate command: find anything. It is a flicker of humanity in the face of self-made oblivion. The desperate hope that foresight, however late, can undo the damage of past greed. The two figures shrink into the immense landscape, two small specks of life in a world they have emptied. The primal fear is no longer of the cave lion or the woolly rhino. It is the fear of this silent, the terror of an empty world they created themselves. The scouts return at twilight, their shoulders slumped with exhaustion and failure. They bring no meat, only the scent of the empty plains that clings to their hide clothing. A collective sigh, thin and brittle, passes through the clan. Hope, a fragile one, dies in the cold air. But one of the scouts, a young man named Fen, avoids Ronan's gaze. He approaches the leader and speaks in a low, urgent whisper. They found one. A single doe, separated from whatever phantom herd she once belonged to. She is slow, he says, and heavy with fawn. She is moving toward the sheltered valley, a half-day's walk from their camp. The news spreads like a spark in dry grass. One deer. It is not a herd, not salvation, but it is meat. It is life. For a few more days, Kale is on his feet instantly, his spear in hand. His eyes gleam with a predator's certainty. The lethargy that had gripped the hunters vanishes, replaced by a grim purpose. This is the world they understand. A target, a hunt, a kill. Ronan watches them, his heart a cold stone in his chest. He sees the desperate hunger in their faces, the primal drive that has kept their species alive for epochs. But he also sees the end of their line. Killing that doe is not a meal. It is eating the last seed from a pouch in the dead of winter. It is a final, pointless act of self-destruction. He stands in Kayla's path. He does not shout. His voice is quiet, but it carries the weight of his authority. No. Kale stops, confused, then angry. She is live. He snarls, gesturing to the hungry faces around them. There is nothing else. Ronan shakes his head. This is the precipice. The moment where brute instinct must yield to something new. Something that has been stirring in the minds of these early humans. It is the birth of abstract thought applied to survival. Her life is not for us. Ronan says, his words careful, deliberate. Her life is for the herd that is not there. Her fawn is the first of the new herd. We kill her. We kill our children's children. It is a thought too large, too distant for a stomach clenched in starvation. Kale shoves past him. The children are hungry now. A group of hunters moves with him. A tide of desperation. Ronan knows he cannot stop them all with force. He can only stop the first spear. As Kale finds the doe in the valley and raises his arm to throw, Ronan is there. He does not tackle him. He simply places his hand on the spear shaft, stopping the motion. Their eyes lock. It is a silent, brutal battle of wills. This is a turning point for all ancient humans, the genesis of true resource management. This one is taboo, Ronan declares, his voice ringing out in the quiet valley. She is the future. The law of this clan is that she walks free. He has just used language not to describe the world, but to change it. He has created a rule where none existed, a sacrifice of the present for a future he can only imagine. It is a staggering leap of faith. And as the pregnant doe limps away, unaware of the debate that has just saved her, the clan is left with nothing but the echo of his words and the terrible, gnawing emptiness in their bellies. This is the great gamble of human evolution. The law is a fragile, bitter thing. It offers no warmth, no nourishment. The days that follow Ronan's decree are the hardest the clan has ever known. The weight of waiting settles over them like a second winter. Hunger is a constant, grinding presence, fraying the bonds of community. Kale and his hunters do not challenge Ronan openly again, but their resentment is a palpable force in the camp, a silent accusation in every glance. They obey the law, but they do not believe in it. This is the wrought engine of anthropology in motion. The clash between the leader's foresight and the group's immediate, desperate needs. Survival becomes a grim, meticulous science. Ronan directs a radical shift in their foraging behavior. They can no longer afford to be specialists. Every member of the clan, from the oldest child to the elders, is now part of the search for sustenance. They dig for tough, fibrous roots that must be pounded into a paste to be edible. They set snares for Arctic hares and ptarmigan, small mouthfuls of meat that only sharpen their craving for more. Lyra, a woman with keen eyes, discovers a patch of lichen growing on the rocks. A food of last resort. It is a slow, grueling existence. A life measured in single calories. This is the stark reality of prehistory when the great game vanishes. They are learning a new kind of intelligence. Not the explosive brilliance of a coordinated hunt, but the slow, patient wisdom of endurance. Ronan carries the burden of his decision alone. He eats last, his portion the smallest. He spends his days away from the camp, not hunting, but watching. He tracks the lone doe, his heart pounding every time he loses her rail. He is her unseen guardian, the shepherd of their only hope. This altruism is not for his clan's immediate comfort, but for its very existence. He sees her find shelter in a copse of stunted birches. He sees her belly swell. He is gambling his people's lives on a biological process he understands only through instinct and observation. Become a chronicler with us, and watch from this frozen ridge. Witness the profound loneliness of leadership. The moment one human mind holds the fate of a lineage in its hands. This is not a story of kings, but of human ancestors making choices that will echo for tens of thousands of years. The breaking point comes on a day of freezing rain. A child dies. The grief is a raw, physical blow. Kale stands over the small, still firm, and then turns to face Ronan. His eyes hollow. For a ghost, he says, his voice cracking, "We starve for a beast you let walk away." The clan is silent. Their face is a mixture of sorrow and doubt. Ronan has no answer. only the terrible weight of his conviction. He is about to respond when Fen, the scout, comes running into the camp, his face alight with a kind of wild joy. He gestures for Ronan to follow. He leads him to the ridge overlooking the sheltered valley. And there, in the lee of the wind, stands the doe, and beside her, on shaky, uncertain legs, is a fawn, a new life. It is not a feast. It is not the end of their hunger, but it is a promise. It is the first word in a new story. It is the vindication of a law that asked for the ultimate sacrifice, faith in tomorrow. That single fawn, a fragile pulse of life on a barren tundra, represents more than a future meal. It is a landmark in the cognitive journey of our species. The clan's brutal lesson in ecology forced a monumental shift from short-term exploitation to long-term stewardship. The law unforged in the crucible of starvation. The idea that you can gain more by leaving something alone is the bedrock of conservation, the first, faint echo of a dialogue with the planet that we are still struggling to learn. This story, etched in the ice and hunger of the Upper Paleolithic, is a testament to the power of foresight. It demonstrates that our greatest survival tool was never a sharpened stone, but the ability to imagine a day we might not live to see, and to act on its behalf. The instincts that drove Kale's spear and Ronan's prohibition are still at war within us today. The ravenous hunger for now versus the quiet, demanding wisdom of later. The chronicle is never finished. It is only passed on. Now look at the world you have inherited. What herds have you broken?